Assalamu alaikum. My name's Reese and I have been Muslim for a year and a half now. Both my parents were heavily involved in the church, so we came from like a Christian background. Jesus is God, the Trinity. As such, it didn't really make sense to me, so I always sort of struggled with that. I think 9/11 was probably the first a massive event, wasn't it, globally, and I think that was the first impression of Muslims. My brother, he'd been a big support for me leading up to it. When I said to him, listen, I'm gonna convert to Islam, the grin on his face as soon as I said that, it was amazing, subhanAllah. It was my first time entering a mosque the day I took my shahada. After that point, all those feelings that I had before I entered, they'd gone. Assalamu alaikum. My name's Reese. I'm from Cardiff and I have been Muslim for about a year and a half now. Growing up in Cardiff, it was, got into doing certain things, and mum and dad were, I think they did their best in giving us a good upbringing, and they've done an amazing job. You know, we had good foundations in the house. Both my parents were heavily involved in the church, so we came from like a Christian background. I took quite a lot from the church in sort of a overall aspect, but then there was always almost felt like a disconnect. So like, for example, I guess Jesus, like the whole Jesus is God and then the Trinity, as such, it didn't really make sense to me. So I always sort of struggled with that. But then when you come to Islam, there's it's got all the answers. So my thoughts on Islam before reverting, I want to say they were quite negative. Yeah, I had misconception on the way the Western media had portrayed Islam. And that was my view of it. But then I guess as you start to read the Quran and understand it for what it is, it's nothing like what I thought it was. I think 9/11 was probably the first, it was a massive event, wasn't it, globally, and I think that was the first impression of Muslims. I guess I thought they were quite aggressive, maybe quite violent people. Yeah, they could have these extremist views, or they could all be terrorists or whatever, but it's obviously not the case. It all started basically, I was with someone at the time, and she basically introduced me to it. At first, I was super against it. I didn't really understand how it was going to work, being brought up in a Christian household, my parents having their views. Couldn't really see how it was going to happen, you know? But then I put all my, negative thoughts aside. I thought, you know what, I'll just purchase myself a Quran and start reading and just see what happens. And I did that, started reading, and almost things started to just fit into place, you know? I can't really explain it. It was just a feeling inside of me. It felt like the truth, what I was reading. I was like, wow, it really sort of resonated with me. From my understanding, at the time I was in, there wasn't a big Muslim community. So I hopped on my phone in work, and I basically was searching Arabic lessons in Cardiff, and I ended up phoning this lady who run this Arabic course, and I ended up doing Arabic lessons with her for 2 months, and I wasn't Muslim then, and then she basically put me in contact with a local mosque, and then that's when I ended up going down, took my shahada, and then met some brothers, and then properly tried to integrate myself into, the Muslim community in Cardiff. Alhamdulillah. A week leading up to me taking my shahada, it felt like in my heart, it felt like the right time to do it. I wanted to dedicate my life to this and, become a better person. My brother, he'd been a big support for me leading up to it. I was confiding in him in, what I was learning about and what I wanted to do. And he was always super supportive. when I said to him, listen, I'm going to convert to Islam, his reaction was beautiful, man. He was just like, he was so happy for me, you know? He saw it coming. He knew, I think he knew what was happening because of the conversations me and him had had leading up to it. And like conversations about the, you know, Islam and the deen and how I was feeling, that I kind of wanted to like redirect my life. And and he was just super happy for me. And he was like, brother, I'll be there. He didn't even question it, you know? He was just like, right, cool, tell me when and where, and I'm there. That was big for me because I was quite nervous to tell my parents at the start. I didn't really know how they were going to take it. So I knew that having Az there would be like that support for me. Like I needed that, you know. He was the one person that I decided I want you to come down with me to witness this. It was my first time entering a mosque the day I took my shahada, and the same for my brother. And I basically went down with Dr. Amira, the lady I was learning Arabic with online. People were intrigued by almost why I was there. You know, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, I'm a white guy, you know. I wonder what are people gonna think? What are people gonna say once I'm in there? And then once they found out that I was coming to take my shahada, like everybody was like, random people were coming up to me and saying, "Salam alaikum, brother," and all this, and you know, you're like, you know, didn't really know what to say back. So we went into the back room. There was like a library room. We went back there. It was me, my brother, Dr. Amira, and then the Emir of the mosque, Dr. Ghaba, and and then he sat me down and sort of explained to me the process of what was going to happen and what I was going to say. He went through like the pillars and I guess the fundamentals of Islam. It was very real at that point. The heart rate was definitely up, you know. But it was a good feeling though. It felt like it was a step in the right direction for me. Although it was nerve-wracking and you have doubts and all this, but I knew it was the right decision for me. So I raised my finger, said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. And I remember after that point, I remember looking to the side and seeing my brother, the grin on his face. As soon as I said that, it was amazing, subhanAllah. Yeah, I've literally just reverted, and then as the shahada ended, the adhan went off. So it was like time to do my first prayer, you know. Dr. Amira, she brought her son, her eldest son, Omar.
The work of supporting new Muslims continues year-round, and you can be part of it. Over the past 5 years, Aira has been blessed at being able to introduce Islam to more than 400,000 people. These individuals need our constant support as they navigate their new faith. Your contribution of £50 to support one new Muslim gives them essential guidance and support. Click the link below, share the video, and let's go back to that interview, shall we?
So we sort of walked out the library, and then it was like everyone's lining up. He was basically just said to me, just follow me. He was like, just follow me, just do what I do. Don't worry too much about what's being said, just follow what I'm doing. And then in the meantime, while that's happening, I'm thinking, oh, where's Aaron? Like, what's Aaron doing? We've just got to this mosque. I'm about to pray. He doesn't know what's going on. And and I, just as we're about to start, I like sort of looked behind me, and he was just sat on a chair in sort of the corner, just taking it all in, still smiling as well, no concern on his face. He looked happy, you know. And I think for me as well, that him being comfortable in that environment, I think deep down I could sort of see potentially what could happen in the future, you know. Yeah, so we finished prayer. Then it was like the whole, wasn't like an announcement, but I think the word spreads. It's like there's been a shahada in the mosque. So you've got all, now everyone's coming up to you, but it's like everyone's buzzing, you know what I mean? You're like literally saying hello to everybody and they're like, welcome, you know, if you need anything, I'm here. And you've got all different people saying that to you. And subhanAllah, like, it made me feel so welcome, you know? I think after that point, all those feelings that I had before I entered, they'd gone. It was amazing, like all these different people coming up to you, saying, Alhamdulillah, welcome to Islam. If there's anything you need, like, here's my phone number. Yeah, they like immediately joined me to like a support group. It was like a group with like 100 reverts in. And within a week, I was contacted by the leader of the group, and he was just like checking in to see how I was doing and if everything was okay and like how I was getting on. And like he invited me to come meet him like a one-on-one, which was really nice, but also quite daunting at the same time, because you've just taken your shahada. You're still kind of letting things sink in. In my head, I was like, I don't just want to sort of like take my shahada and then just sort of like sit back and chill and then potentially slip into all my old ways. It was like, okay, right, now it's time to learn and like to change and to get knowledge and, you know, hopefully excel, you know. Both my parents knew. They both knew what I was going to do. I think they had their concerns, but purely off the basis of that they didn't have the correct knowledge about Islam. They almost were like me. Like, I didn't really feel equipped yet to be able to give them all the answers they needed, but I just needed them to sort of like trust me, and they did. Subhanallah, like they've been amazing. Like I think it's been quite tough for them, truthfully. It's been very difficult for them, but they've, over the past year and a half, they've really they've accepted it, that this is, you know, this is what's happened. You know, I have taken on the faith of Islam, and that this is the foreseeable future, inshallah. I think deep down I just wanted them to support me, and in my head I was concerned that they weren't going to. I was thinking the worst scenarios, you know. What if they're super upset, or, you know, what's going to happen then? But like, I think they were, you know, it was a shock, but they have their faith, and I think that has actually, it's helped in a way, if that makes sense. It's actually, there is kind of a mutual understanding, because we although we believe in different things, we both believe in God, you know. So I think over time, like as time has gone on, it's gotten easier, and like we've had to work on it, you know, which is a nice thing, because as I'm growing as a Muslim, they're also getting knowledge. They're getting more knowledge from me. You know, explaining to them what I'm learning about, and just trying to portray it in the best way, you know, because obviously there's a lot of stuff to know. Me and my mother have been sat down, or whatever, we've been talking about, you know, she's been talking about her faith, I've been talking about my faith, and she's actually acknowledged the fact of, you know, how better I'm doing and how much I've improved in, you know, a lot of aspects of my life, you know, which is really nice to hear. You know, you immerse yourself into it, and there's so much going on. It's so easy to like forget how far you've come. You know, just having a simple conversation like with Mum about that, and her saying, you know, that she was proud of me and all that. It was a really nice sort of moment, you know. It took a lot of energy, and there was a lot of emotions behind it. But then it's like, it's over, and then you're like, okay, the next step, like I need to know how to pray now. And obviously, like, you know, you're praying in a different language, and you start thinking about all this, and you're like, oh wow, like I have really I'm committed to this now. You know, this is it. After, obviously after now, I've taken my shahada, and there's an area in Cardiff where it's sort of like heavily Muslim populated area. You know, there's like all different types of restaurants and halal butchers. Obviously now I've got to switch the whole food situation up. So I started going down to this butcher's called Four Seasons. And the butchers in there, subhanAllah, there was something about the way they spoke to me and the way they were with me. It just made me feel so comfortable. And they were just absolutely buzzing when they heard that I'd taken my shahada. Like, the guy who was serving me the meat, he actually came round the counter and gave me a big hug. Do you know what I mean? And I'm there in this butcher's, like, what's going on? SubhanAllah. Didn't really know them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even know this guy's name. All these people, like, being so nice, and they were so pure and sincere. And like, I remember like walking out of there and thinking, like, this is amazing. Like, all these people that I've met in such a small space of time. And they're all just like amazing people. Like, my friendship group, that was another group of people I was quite nervous to. I wondered what they would think. Vividly remember my best friend, and it was in my head. It was like this big thing. I was like, "What am I gonna say? Like, what's he gonna think?" And before he'd even said it, he turned around and he went, "You're looking into Islam, aren't you?" Or yeah, he already knew. Like, he knew, and it kind of caught me off guard a bit. And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I am." Yeah. I was fasting, and we were in the gym, and he had water, and I didn't. And he was like, "Bro, where's your water, man?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm good. I don't need water." And he's sort of looking at me like, "What? Like, who's like?" It was like boiling hot. You know, we're sweating, like, and he's like, "Why isn't this guy drinking water?" He was like, "You're fasting, aren't you, bro?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am." And then that kind of like broke the ice, you know. And his reaction was amazing, because I guess, yeah, he saw it coming. He was like, yeah, my friends and I know my family, you know, they've had misconceptions like I did prior about Islam. But then once you've found the right people to talk to who actually give you the correct knowledge, you know, and back it up with hadiths or, you know, ayahs from the Quran, it starts to make sense, and you see it for what it actually is. It's not this, like, you know, this crazy religion that, you know, is just full of nutters. It's not like that at all. Like, without doubt, I wouldn't be sat here right now, you know. And it's very important to seek knowledge, to be able to like pass it on and give that knowledge to people who I know and people who are close around me who might not be Muslim. My brother, obviously, he knew, he was with me through the whole process. And then it was my first Ramadan as a Muslim. And he said to me, "Oh, I want to fast with you." And I was like, SubhanAllah. I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Obviously, bro. Like, you know, we can do it together, you know, have a little thing going on." And he did it, SubhanAllah, completed it. And there was a running group that we were part of. We used to go running every like Sunday morning with the brothers. Aaron would come down and run. So he was getting, SubhanAllah, amazing dawah from some really good brothers. Shortly after Ramadan, yeah, he turned to me, I think it was like a week later, he turned to me and he was like, "Brother, I'm ready." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "That's insane, SubhanAllah." I didn't think it was going to happen that soon. I thought it was going to be a bit longer, but he knew. The way he said it to me, you know, I was like, yeah, he's ready. He knows. My message to non-Muslims who are thinking about becoming Muslim is just do it. Just make the step. Once you take the step, Allah is watching you. He's got you through everything, and He'll have your best interest at heart. And yeah, SubhanAllah, you know, you don't need to know everything. I think a lot of it is, you'll know in your heart if it's right, and then once you feel it in there, you make the step, and then the rest just follows. It'll just it'll come piece by piece. It's like a little puzzle, you know, and you start building it, and then before you know it, you've got strong faith, strong iman, and you're well on your way, you know. Alhamdulillah.